Hello and welcome to Season 1, Episode 3 of the Braden Lynch Studio Acting Tutorial. I am your host, Braden Lynch. So, we've got a basic handle on the 4 elements that go into every conversation in real life. How does that apply to acting? 3 main steps. First, the investigation. What is the writer asking of you? What is going on in the scene and with your character? Second, the connection. How are we going to get you into your character and into that scene, their emotional life, all that stuff, authentically, no fake crying or any other fakery. And third, the execution, actually doing the scene in a coaching, audition, on set, etc. So, the investigation. Again, I can spend a lot of time talking about this, and there are some scenes where you should spend a lot of time figuring out what's going on, because if you don't, you will be way off in your performance. For now, I'm going to keep it simple. Stay out of the scene. Don't start saying your lines yet. You have no idea what's going on, so you have no idea how they should be said, and you don't want to start putting the blinders on. Read it like you're reading a book about other people. Pay attention to where your character is, when, what is said, when it's said, how everyone seems to feel about everything and everyone else. Find every clue that you can and put them all together so that you can paint the most comprehensive picture possible of exactly and specifically what's going on here. Now, if we go again with the example of the audition, you and that other actor have very different experiences, and you have different experiences from audition to audition. Some you love, some you're pretty happy with, some are confusing afterwards, some are just kind of bad, some are terrible experiences. If you get an audition where you're playing an actor going on an audition, you cannot just say, oh, I've been in auditions before, I know what this is like. Nah. This character is having a very specific experience with this audition, and you have to figure out what that is. That is what you're aiming for. Otherwise, you're shooting in the dark, because their experience could be so many different things. Okay? Once you've got that all figured out, like a detective would figure it out, you move on to step 2, figuring out how you're going to get yourself into that emotional space, what you're going to be thinking about. Now, there are 3 sorts of categories that you can pull from, and they come from what make us feel emotions in real life. 1, you get a gift you've been dying for, you feel happy. Real life events make us feel things. This concept is not rocket science. 2, you're worried that you are going to be fired. We feel things when we apply imaginary circumstances to our real lives. 3, most of us were at one point scared of the monster under the bed or in the closet, so completely imaginary things can make us feel something. So, let's say that your character just received a gift that they've been dying for. Let's keep it as simple as that, and figure out how we can get connected. Real life. If you have ever received an incredible gift, and the thought of it makes you start to feel a little something all over again, that's a possible choice. 2, imaginary circumstances applied to real life. If there is a gift that you currently would love to receive, and the thought of it makes you start to feel something, that's a possible choice. 3rd, full imagination, make up something. That would be the coolest thing ever to own. It doesn't even have to be realistic. Pick a spaceship for all I care, as long as you want it. That can be a viable choice. So, real life, imagination, applied to real life, and full imagination. Now, there are 3 things that you want to keep in mind when making these choices. Be personal, specific, and brave. Personal means don't choose things that you don't care about. Specific means don't just say something like, it's just a friend who says something rude. No. Know exactly which friend and exactly what the rude thing is. And brave means that you should use choices that scare you sometimes, choices that you might not want to think about or even ever tell anybody about. But a quick word to the wise, some choices are too strong or too recent for some people. If you've suffered a death in the past few days, I would be very hesitant to recommend using that as a choice. This is different for every person, but know that there is a line in each of us, so exercise caution. Now, the last thing here. Some actors and acting coaches believe that you should only use your real life ever. Some will say only imagination ever. The fact that there are great actors on both sides of that argument should tell you that both of them work. It all works. And anyone who tells you that one of them doesn't simply doesn't know how to do it. You just have to figure out what works for you. And since sometimes you won't have the time required to fully build something in your imagination, and sometimes the material will involve something that none of your experiences can compare to, it's in your best interest to cultivate all three of them so that you can use any of them. Next, we're going to go into how to actually get into these emotional spaces, and again, we're going to do it authentically. Let me harp on this once more. You must do your best to never fake it, to never fake anything in this work. Yes, there are actors who have booked work after faking it in the audition, and some actors fake it for the final product. There are even some coaches who think that it all should be faked. But the audience can almost always spot a faker, and really, what kind of actor do you want to be? I'll see you in the next episode. That is why her performance was so compelling and full, because she treated her character as having an entire life very different from her own.